Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
All right. Hey, guys. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, John Harcar, and I'm here today with Steven Andrews. And what we're going to talk about is the new American dream. And I'll go into a little bit about that a little more later on in the podcast. But remember, guys, here at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, we help entrepreneurs, we help service providers 2 to 5x your business. We provide the tools and the training needed to grow the business you want to grow, which in turn will help you to live that life that you wanted to live. Steven, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much for having me, John. Looking forward to it.
I'm excited to talk about the new American dream and then fill people in on that a little bit later. But before we dig into that and kind of all the stuff we want to talk about, tell our audience about you. How did you get into real estate? You know, what you do now, what got you here?
Absolutely. So my journey really started over a decade ago. I took a real estate class my senior year at High Point University. And really the class was a simulation on how to buy an apartment complex and make it profitable in the first year. If you did that, you got an A. If you didn't do that, you got a bad grade. And luckily for me, I got a great grade. And so I just kind of fell in love with real estate through that simulation. And it was many years down the road. I would say probably 3 or 4 years down the road before I actually got into real estate, because just like the next person, you do anything new, you get a little bit scared, you get in your mind and you just don't pull the trigger, right?
Yeah.
And so when I left High Point, I was working retail store management, working 12, 13 hours a day. I was $75,000 in predominantly student loan debt. I did make a great investment as a young 20-some-year-old buying a brand new car.
Mm-hmm.
That investment certainly hadn't turned me any profits over the years or whatnot, but I was only making $45,000 a year as well. So I didn't have a ton of money left over at the end of the day. But finally, I was able to link up with a local investor, which is still my mentor to this day. And he said, you got to pull the trigger. Read this book called Building Wealth by Russell Whitney. Come back and see me, whenever you're done. And he said, because I'm not going to waste my time. I want to make sure you're truly in it. He said, I get 5, 6, 7 calls a year of people just like you that say they want to do it, but they don't really pull the trigger. And so I did exactly what he wanted me to do, and went back to him about a month later after reading the book. And I was just fired up for real estate. And I knew I didn't want to continue to do retail store management. I mean, working 12, 13 hours a day is not fun for anybody.
No.
And so, I knew I wanted to do more. And so with Joel, he really helped me get into real estate. And fast forward a decade, I've bought hundreds of properties that my management company owns. We only manage what we own. I've also flipped hundreds of properties. I've wrote now a book called The New American Dream, A Simple Roadmap to Purchase and Investment Properties, which is a roadmap to how I've done it over the last decade. And it's also been a bestseller, won multiple different awards as well. And now I'm helping the everyday person just like I was over a decade ago, that wants more out of life, that doesn't want to work 12 hours a day. That
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Doesn't want to barely get by.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm helping those individuals learn what I've learned. And it doesn't take them a decade to learn what I've learned, because I'm giving them the information they need. And that is so rewarding.
Yeah.
That's probably the most rewarding thing I've ever done, is to be able to kind of pour back in, just like Joel did to me.
Awesome. Now let's go back a little bit, because you said something interesting. Okay, in school, what was this? This wasn't a high school. This was a university that you.
That's right. Yep.
Okay.
At High Point University in High Point, North Carolina, a 4-year school, great school, by the way. And it was a real estate class.
Okay.
And my senior year, all I needed was 9 credit hours to graduate. So I'm like, well, what classes do I want to take? And so I always tell people, always take life, seriously. You don't know when you're going to do something that's going to change your life forever.
Right.
And so I only needed 9 credit hours. If I would have just kind of done whatever and didn't take it serious, I wouldn't have learned anything.
You could have been a professional basket weaver.
That's right. I could have been.
So take a basket weaver 101.
Yeah. So, and the thing is, my life would look very different today if I did not take that real estate class over a decade ago. And so, that's so cool, to be able to see, because you just don't know in life what's really going to change your life, certainly in the future.
What was the decision to choose the real estate, though?
I'm sorry?
Class. What was the decision to choose that class, that real estate class?
Well, I was just thinking, for that semester, so I'll kind of give you some background on what I took that semester. I took scuba diving, I took beach volleyball, I took bowling, it's classes. And so I needed 2 classes. And so I took art, which I'm not a very good artist. I did make an A in the class, but it was the fundamentals of art.
Sure.
So you're doing a painting from white to black and every shade in between. It's a rather simple class.
Right.
And then when I saw real estate, it was like, that kind of just piqued my interest. When I thought about very successful people in the world, the majority of them own some form of real estate. And I'm like, let me look into that.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So now what is your business look like now? Like what are you doing? Because I know you mentioned you've been an investor, you've been a coach. What do you do now for folks in the business?
Absolutely. So really I have multiple different businesses. So I still own rental properties, still own multiple hundreds of rental properties that my company manages every single year. We also flip about 20 to 25 houses a year as well.
Okay.
So that's a different sector of the business. And then we also loan money, so people that are looking to get into real estate, depending on, what kind of terms they need. Sometimes we can offer lending for that as well.
Okay.
And then the part that I'm just so passionate about as well, I'm passionate about the other things, but this is just so much fun because this is changing people's lives, is the business coach part.
Okay.
And it's just been so much fun. And so really, I'm an expert in all the other fields. I'm an expert in how to help people become successful in real estate. But this one's just got me fired up. Along with the book, you can see him right here. You can see him behind me. This book has just changed people's lives as well.
Why is it important for someone to have a business coach?
I would not be where I'm at today if I did not have one. So Joel, outside of that real estate class I took at High Point, Joel was also one of the most most influential persons in my life to get me successful in real estate. And the reason why is he had 30 years experience. So I'm talking to someone that, I could read a book, I could read a textbook, I could read, go listen to podcasts, go listen to YouTube channels, right? But when you have somebody that is invested in you and pouring the knowledge of 30 years into you, you don't make the same mistakes they made. Now, you do still make mistakes.
Yeah, how about this?
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
But it's different mistakes, right?
Sure.
You know, and so it's just one of those things where he just helped guide me. So, you know, whenever I'm reading that first book, Building Wealth by Russell Whitney, you know, and I'm like, okay, this kind of makes sense, but how do I use this in everyday life, or how do I apply that? I go talk to Joel. Joel read the same book, and he's like, okay, this is how I did it. And it gives you that real life experience before you actually get there. And so it's such a great guide, because there's going to be times where you doubt yourself because you're doing something brand new.
Yeah.
You know, your mind tells you, you know, if anything, if you get out of your comfort zone, oh, don't do it. Right. And having a mentor, having a business coach there helps you become successful.
And how did you connect
to where you want to be?
How did you connect with Joel again?
So Joel was a local investor. So my dad actually knew Joel for probably about 20 years. And I was talking to my parents one night, and I was like, you know, I really kind of want to get into real estate. And they're like, well, hey, I don't know if Joel can help you out at all. Don't, you know, I know he's in real estate. I know he's doing the business stuff, but I don't know if he can help you. Here's his phone number. Give him a call. And I'm so glad, for one, I asked my parents and had that conversation. Two, picking up the phone and calling Joel, life-changing. It really was.
How do you think someone should go find a coach now? Like, what's the best ways to do it? And then also, too, secondary to that, what are maybe some questions you want to ask? Because you could go online and everybody can be a business coach, right? We don't know, like, we want to get on the phone with them. We want to make sure we ask them this. Like, what do you recommend?
Absolutely. You know, I always tell people, don't go in the flashiest places. You know, so when I think about Joel's social media presence, there's not one. Right. And so I'm not saying you can't find a business coach on social media. I'm on social media. You're on social media. You know, we're good people. We know what we're doing. We help people. Yeah. But for me, Joel was just an everyday guy that had a ton of success, and he was genuine.
Yes.
And so I would always tell people, don't always look in the flashiest places. Trust but verify. And so, you know, just because somebody's telling you something doesn't necessarily mean it's the truth. So you need to verify the information they're giving you. And then always make sure you ask the right questions. And so I still remember Joel told me this a long time ago. He used to go to these seminars. And so the seminars were taught by people, and they were talking about how to become successful in real estate, and this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. And the one question Joel asked him, what is actually a pretty good one. He said, how much real estate do you own?
Exactly. Yeah, I knew the question. That's it.
Yep. And the guy said, I don't own any. I just get paid to say this stuff. Right. And so to me, that's the difference. And so for me, what I look at from a business coach standpoint or a mentor standpoint, you want somebody that's done it before, right?
Right.
You don't want somebody that's just read a bunch of books or that have watched YouTube or, you know, got information that way. You want somebody with real life experience because that's life changing, right?
Someone who's been in the trenches.
Can read a book.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And anybody can read the book, but you want somebody that's used practical use. And so asking those questions of trust but verify. So for instance, in this scenario, Joel trusted the guy, what he was saying, but then he wanted to verify. And when he went to verify, it was a much different answer than what he was being told. And so you just really have to be careful. And then make sure they align with what you believe in, right? You know, you don't want to lose yourself in building a business that you're proud of, right? Like when you're proud of a business, you want it to align with your goals, your dreams, your aspirations, your values,
your core values. Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day. And so if you're, you know, getting vibes from someone, trust your gut, whether or not.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
They would align with what you believe in, because there's certain people out here that might not do it the same way that I do it. And there's certain people out there that believe something different than I do.
Right.
And so you want to make sure that your values align, because if you create a business and it does not have the right foundation of what you believe in, it's going to crumble at some point, because at some point you're like, this is not what I believe in. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And so, but if you build a business that's like, this is what I believe in, these are my beliefs, it's a great foundation to certainly be successful.
And that's a huge nugget, right? I mean, someone can know everything, but if they're in it just to take shortcuts and get to the money and not care about who they step on along the way, doesn't align with me. You know what I mean? So I think that is a really big thing, because yes, once again, they could teach you, but if you can't teach and then relate and they have that experience, I think that's where a lot of people falter. Tell me about some challenges you had getting into the business coaching, all those type of things.
Absolutely. For me, when I think back to real estate, getting into that business, I came from a middle class family. So I was $75,000 in debt, making $45,000 a year. I didn't have a lot of money left over at the end of the day every month to do anything. And so for me, it was so scary of, okay, if I pull the trigger on this rental property, I started playing the what if game in my mind. Well, what if the tenant doesn't pay? Well, what if I need a new roof? What if I need a new HVAC, and so on? And it's one of those things where it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to be cautious, but you can't play the what if game to psych yourself out from actually doing it.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was, where am I going to get the money at? And then I started playing the what if game. And that's when Joel kind of come in and Joel said, listen, if you play this what if game 10 years from now, you're going to be right where you're at.
Yeah.
You're going to have to take a leap of faith at some point. He said, you've done the research, trust the research you've done, trust yourself. He said, I'm going to be here to help guide you, and you're going to be okay. And so for me, not having money to put down, I used a credit card to get a cash advance off of for my first down payment for my first property. A lot of people at the time were like, well, that's 7% interest. That's a big interest rate at the time. It's
a mortgage.
Anybody would love 7% interest
today,
right?
I mean, scratching at the bit for it. We're chomping at the bit
absolutely.
for it.
So it's all about perspective, right? But getting that first down payment was a challenge for me, because I didn't have a ton of money. And then getting past those doubts were also a challenge. But then once I've done it, I do $1 million deals now, and it doesn't faze me one bit. And this was $100,000 deal, right? So, it's just one of those things. Life's all about perspective and getting your feet wet and really making sure that you know what you're doing, and then believing in yourself. It is really the biggest thing. You can be cautious, but don't be too cautious to keep you out of the game.
Yeah, to hold you back.
And that's really what it's about. And the same thing for business coaching for me. One of the biggest challenges is getting people to understand that, right? So I can give you all the information that I've collected over the last decade, but if you don't apply it every single day,
you don't believe it.
You don't apply it into your business and believe it. Then there's, it's that old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Yep. Right. And so it's just one of those things where, trust in your mentor, make sure you have the right mentor, and then do it. Because at the end of the day, if you don't take that first step's always the hardest. If you don't take that first step, you're going to be right where you're at 10 years from now.
Yeah. It's a mindset thing. You know what I mean? It's really, getting over those hurdles. And I mean, it's like, what does it say? What's the difference between $100,000 property and $1 million property? Zeros?
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, a little more. So how do you, and what tools or things do you recommend to keep that mindset on the right path to be that, focus centric, go get it?
Absolutely. You can kind of look at athletes, for instance. You look at Tom Brady, for instance. He had to work every single day to be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when you now apply that to business, just say here in real estate or just say another business you're creating, you have to be disciplined every single day. In order for you to be successful, you have to do something today for it to pay dividends a year from now.
Yep.
And so you have to make sure you're doing the small things, because if you're not doing the small things lead to big things, and big things lead to even bigger things. And so you can't start with the biggest things because you got to lay that foundation, but you got to do it every day. My parents always told me this saying, don't put off for tomorrow what you can do today. And I think that is so big in business that, if we get into a mindset, or if you're in a mindset, well, I'll just do that tomorrow. Well, I promise you, there's going to be something else for you.
Something comes up tomorrow.
Right. Real estate, for instance, really any business for that matter, is never 100% done. I could work 24/7, 365, and I still wouldn't be done, right? Because there's always something that's going to come up. Yep. And so you never want to put off. You want to do the small things every single day to be successful. And at some point, it just, you're like pushing the ball up the hill, like the snowball up the hill. And at some point you crest the hill, and that snowball just starts getting bigger and bigger coming down the hill. And that's where you'll be at. But you have 100%. To do the right things first.
But you got to push it uphill to make it go downhill.
That's right.
I love it. Let's talk a little bit about our topic or our title today, and that's the New American Dream. Tell me about the book. Tell me kind of what prompted you to write it. If there's something, it's something that happened or some instance behind it, et cetera.
Absolutely. So the New American Dream, a simple roadmap to purchase and investment properties. Really how I got the title was a couple of years ago, I was thinking about what is the American Dream now? So when I would have talked to my parents and my grandparents about that, the American Dream for them was always, hey, I want to own my own property, right?
Mm-hmm.
That used to be the American Dream. And now when I think about kind of this new generation that's coming up, they don't care as much about owning the property they live in, but a lot of them want to own real estate.
Yes.
And so for me, that's just the New American Dream, right? And so it is absolutely, this book is a simple roadmap to purchase and investment properties. It is everything in there that I've learned over the last decade of being in this business. To first things first, how do you create the business? To how do you find the deal, get it financed? How do you fix it up? How do you handle local municipalities and ordinances and inspections? Really at the very end, relationships and how do you manage it once you own a property? What kind of tenants should we be looking for? What kind of processes should we be looking for? And then at the very end, there's a chapter in there of when's enough, because at some point, you might not be there today, but at some point you're going to ask yourself like, hey, do I have enough? And so this really started back during COVID when I was driving down the road, and there was this particular barbecue restaurant that had been open 50 plus years that was gone, right? Closed down, just didn't make it, wasn't reopening. And so for me, it was like, man, do I really want to spend my entire life just running a marathon or sprinting a marathon just to give everything I've accumulated to someone else? Or do I want to enjoy the journey, and do I get to enjoy the fruits of my labor? And that's okay if we still want to give somebody something one day when we pass away. But,
right.
I also want to enjoy this as well.
Yes.
And so I started thinking about when's enough for me. And so I started thinking back to my early 20s and I said, you know what, if I went back to that person and I said, hey, when you're in your mid 30s, you're going to own several hundred rental properties. You're going to flip 20 houses to 25 houses a year. You're going to loan money. You're going to write a book. You're going to have a net worth that used to be negative to a net worth that's in the tens of millions. Would you be okay with that? And so for me, it was like, well, of course, right? And my 20-year-old self would have loved to have that.
Yes.
And so it started to get me thinking like, okay, if if I would have told myself that then, like, hey, 10 years from now or 15 years now, this is what you're going to be at, and I'm okay with that. Well, then do I have enough? Maybe, do I need to be worth 100 million, or is it okay to be worth, 20 to 30 million, right? Like, what's really the difference? Because at the end of the day, when you pass away, you don't get to take any of it with you.
Yeah.
So you might as well, enjoy it while you're here. And so it really got me thinking. And in the book, I go into more detail of, making sure you don't look to the world for your happiness. You don't look to the world for this answer of when's enough, but what really makes you happy. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I have this saying now that I don't live to work, but I work to live.
Yeah. Meaning
I'm utilizing the businesses that I've created to go live life. Whatever that looks like, everybody's life's going to be different. But for me, family and friends, traveling's important. I'm a huge sports fan, so that's important. Enjoying those moments, because you never know when those moments are gone, right? For instance, I still remember this during COVID, or the beginning of COVID. I'm in ACC land here in North Carolina, so I'm a huge Carolina fan, but in between Duke and Carolina here, and I still remember that ACC tournament. The rumor started going around, well, hey, ACC tournament's going to be canceled. And then it was like, hey, the NCAA tournament's going to be canceled. And I still remember this. I told my friend, I said, there's no way it'll be canceled. There's too much money. They're going to lose too much money. What happened for a couple of years? All that stuff was so altered. So you just never know when the unthinkable is going to happen. So make sure you're prepared for that, but also enjoy life, because, man, it could be gone just like that.
Yes. Yeah, we all know too well, especially the older you get, you see, you start to see it more. But I love it. And I love the nuggets you dropped. That is exactly how I have a view of live it for today, right? I mean, obviously you want to set your kin up for tomorrow, but enjoy now. Once again, I could have $10 million die tomorrow, and what's the good of that $10 million?
That's right.
If folks want to reach out to you, Steven, if they want to talk about your book, they want to talk about investing, they want a business coach, what is the best way for them to find you?
Absolutely. So I have a website. You can go to StevenHAndrews.com. You can also email me at info@soretsconsulting.com. That's my direct email. You can also catch me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn is Steven H. Andrews. And then Facebook and Instagram is at Steven H. Andrews 1. I'm available in any of those. I regularly message people back on those. Would love to help anybody that's looking to become successful in real estate.
How do they find your book?
Yep. So you can buy it through the website. So going to StevenHAndrews.com, you can buy the book through the website. You can also go on Amazon.com. It's also on there. It's also on Target, Barnes & Noble's websites as well. Cool. It is very versed and very available for people.
Awesome. I'll have to go pick up a copy. Guys, I hope you guys got a lot of good nuggets out of here. I mean, I know I sure did. Steven, thank you again for sharing all you did. Guys, I encourage you to reach out to him. And, I hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Cheers.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Steven.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.